All right, so today we're in section 1.6, subtracting integers. Subtracting integers. All right, before we get into that, let's do a few review problems. This will be a review from your lesson that we had in 1.5 on adding integers. So while you see some, quote unquote subtraction signs in there, you know that we're following the rules. Same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract and take. Sweet. All right, negative 93 minus 20 is what?
113.
Okay, same sign, add and keep, negative 113. All right, 60 plus negative 50 is the same thing as 60 minus 50, and it's 10. Very good. All right, negative 56 plus negative 85.
Negative 141.
Negative 141. Yes, very good. And that's just subtraction, not plus and negative. All right, now number 4, what'd you get?
7.
7. What about number 5?
Negative 9.
I don't know why that's there. All right, negative 9. All right, what about number 6?
Negative 5.
Negative 5. Good job. All right, so moving on to example 1. All right, so the good news is it's the same rules that we learned in 1.5. I just need to pay attention to my signs. So the first thing I ask myself is, do these integers have the same sign or do they have different signs? Well, 4 is positive and 10 is negative. So it's different signs. I subtract them. What's 10 minus 4?
6.
6, and I keep my negative. Negative 6. All right, what about number 2? 7 minus negative 5. Well, we did talk about this briefly the other day, but anytime we have a double negative, what happens to it?
It becomes a subtraction.
Nope. Double negative becomes a positive.
It's okay.
It becomes a positive. So you can go ahead and just change it right there in the expression, or even if you see the double negative, when you write it on your paper, you can go ahead and change it to a positive. But make sure you do change it on your paper. Because if you think, oh, well, I'll just remember, you might not, and then you might, get the sign wrong in your answer. So then, now that I can clearly see that this is a positive, 7 plus 5 is what? 12. All right, negative 2 minus negative 9.
That'd be
Double negative 9.
plus
Double negative changes to positive. Do I need to change the sign on my first term? Negative 2? No, only in between or in front of the 9. So now I have negative 2 plus 9, 7. Very good. Different signs, I subtract and take. All right. Go ahead and do 4, 5, and 6. What's 9 minus 14?
Negative 5.
Negative 5. 14's bigger. What's negative 10 minus 15?
Negative 25.
Negative 25. Very good. Same sign, add and keep. 13 minus 8? 5. Very good. We got all 3 right. Awesome. Good job. Okay, so now let's do example 2. Well, this is our algebra. Okay, so this is the algebra part of the lesson. We need to now evaluate a variable expression. So we take the value, x equals negative 9, and we're going to substitute it into the expression. X equals negative 9. So go ahead and write this expression, x minus negative 40, in your notes, and then we'll make our substitution. We make our substitution, negative 9 minus negative 40. Well, that double negative I have to recognize and change it to a positive. Okay, that's got to change to a positive. Now I can see that I have 1 negative and 1 positive, so what do?
You add.
Not add, but subtract. So 40 minus 9 is 31. All right, now let's look at the next one, 7 minus x. Well, 7 minus x, 7 minus is part of the original expression, but yes, now I have to subtract a negative 9. So you're going to see this a lot with these substitutions that deal with negatives. Once you plug in a negative, when there's already a subtraction sign, that double negative changes to a positive. That changes your whole answer. So if you forget to do that, you're going to get the wrong answer. 7 plus 9 is 16. All right, go ahead and do the third one. When you have the answer, raise your hand. All right, so -9, well, there's already a negative, so that becomes a double negative. But do I need to change the -10? No, I don't change that one. It's already, it's just a single sign. I leave that one alone. Okay, so I have 9 minus 10, which is -1. -1. All right, you guys did well in that. Okay, so now I want to do this checkpoint real quick. Let's just go ahead and do these 4 problems, and then we will check. All right, so y minus 3. -14 minus 3 is what? -17. Who got -17? Good. Are y'all done with number 6?
Yes.
Okay. So 25 minus -14. What do you see here?
Double negative.
Double negative changed to a positive. So what's 25 plus 14? 39. Who got 39? Okay, good. All right, number 7. -14 minus 10. Who thinks they know the answer? Thomas? No. Avery?
-24.
You agree?
Yes.
-24. Same sign, add and keep. All right, maybe just write down a number wrong. All right, so now -9 minus -14. What happens?
Positive.
Changes to a,
Positive.
and what's my answer? Very good. All right, any questions? Did y'all get that for the most part? Okay, good. All right, now in example 3, you need to know a formula, okay? This is a formula that's kind of set in stone as far as the operation, but we'll follow it to find any change in elevation or temperature. Okay, so here's my formula. The change equals the new minus the original. This may look familiar to you from percent of increase and decrease, that formula, but all right, so we have the new either elevation or the new temperature, and I subtract the original. Here's what's important. The subtraction part is built into the formula. So what happens if your original amount is a negative? If you're subtracting a negative, what happens to it? It becomes a positive. So that subtraction sign does not replace the negative if it's the original. That becomes a double negative. You'll see that in just a sec. But does everybody have the formula written down? Change equals new minus original. You have that written down? All right, so now let's look at that. We're going to use that formula from -150 to 280. Well, which one of these, -150 or 280, is the new elevation?
280.
280. That's where I end up. So new minus, what's the original? -150. So here's exactly what I was just talking about. The subtraction sign, this one, is built into my formula. But then since I have to subtract a negative amount, it changes it to a double negative, which we know is a positive. So now we add 280 plus 150 to get
330.
close.
430.
430. Positive or negative?
Positive.
It is positive. Now we can actually check to see if our answer is reasonable. Let's think about this practically for a minute. If you start at -150 feet and you end up at positive 280 feet, is your change in elevation positive or negative?
Positive.
It's positive. You went up from negative 150 up to 280. So my answer is positive also. So it does make sense. It is practical. So you can definitely check these answers to make sure they're practical. All right, what about the next one? From 140 to negative 380. All right, I want you to go ahead and plug these numbers into your formula. All right, so which one is my new amount?
380.
Negative 380, and I need to subtract the original. So the original was positive, so it's just I subtract a positive number. All right, so now do I have same sign or different? Same, so what do I do?
Add.
Add and keep. What's 380 plus 140? 520, and according to my math, this should be a negative elevation. Well, let's look back at the original. Does it make sense to have a negative elevation if I go from 140 down to negative 380?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm descending. Maybe I'm climbing down that mountain, or maybe I'm scuba diving. I'm descending, okay? So yes, my answer is practical. It does make sense. Now, to find the change in temperature, I'm going to go ahead and go to a new slide. Does everybody have both of these written down? All right, so now let's find the change in temperature. And we can follow the exact same formula as long as our units are the same. So we see we have Celsius and we have Fahrenheit. All right, and they will be on your classwork and homework assignments, quiz tests. The units will be the same, okay? So we can do new minus original. So on A, what is my new temperature? 47. That's my new temperature. That's what it went to. What's my original temperature?
28.
Negative 28. So what happens? I subtract a negative 28. So what is that?
Plus.
Double negative changes to a positive. All right, do you see the difference? Do you see why that was a double negative? The subtraction sign's in my formula already, and if I have to subtract a negative, it changes to a positive. All right, so 47 plus 28.
75 degrees Fahrenheit.
Close.
Celsius.
Very good. 75 degrees Celsius. All right, I want you to try the second one. Okay, so new, negative 65, minus original. Well, same sign or different? Same, so I add and keep. All right, so what's it going to be?
Negative 143 degrees Fahrenheit.
Is your answer practical?
Yes.
How do you know?
Because 78 is going down.
Because I went from 78 down to negative 65 degrees Fahrenheit, so I did have a temperature drop of negative 143 degrees. Would anybody want to live in those types of climates where it's 78 degrees during the day and then the next morning it's negative 65? You think Florida weather is bad? That would be bad, right? To go like that extreme. Negative 65, you can't even go outside. 78 is borderline beach weather, right? Okay, so anyway, so we can always look at these problems and be able to tell if my answer is practical. And if you understand that, that's everything you need to know for 1.6.